The grid arrange plugin will allow us to arrange our objects in a grid basically. And just to save us some time here, I set up a cube here within our scene with a material on it. And what I want to do is arrange this into a grid-like pattern. So that means we're going to have to copy our cube here several times. Now there are a couple ways to copy containers within Vizrt, and we'll just start with the basic, holding down Control, clicking, and dragging. So that's one way. Again, I'll hold down Control, and now when the cube or container is out here, I can just right-click on my mouse to add containers. So we're going to add 10 all together. And when we have 10, what we're going to do then is just group it. So we'll highlight all of them by holding down Shift, and then we can just hit the little group button here. Now we're going to use our grid arrange plugin. So we'll go into our built-ins, into the container plugins, and in the arrange folder, and drag this grid arrange right up onto our container here. I'm going to click on the grid arrange plugin to go into the properties editor, and here we get to select our chosen number of rows and or column. You can do both in each one. In this particular case, we're just going to do 10 rows since that's how many copies we had within our scene tree. And since we're doing number of rows, we want to do row offset. And here you can see as we advance our row offset, we are starting to create space between our cubes. And if you want to come in and scale this down and reposition it onto your screen, we can see what's happening here. So here we have a grid row. Now if we want to further make columns on here, we can do that as well. And if you don't have any keyframes on your grid arrange plugin, you can actually delete that and it will keep this arrangement. So now we want to copy this container again, and if you want to rename it, you can. So we could rename our container. And another way to copy containers is to use this Cocoa within our container folder, and we can just click on the Cocoa here and select number of copies. So we're going to say 9 and 10 would be including this container. We're going to tell it on the same level, give it a starting index of 2, and if you want to give it a container name, you can. We'll just leave it blank. We're going to say execute, and you can see that it copied additional containers here. So now what we want to do is group these containers again, and we'll hit select on the first and then the 10th container to select them all, and we'll just hit the little group button here. Now we want to use the grid arrange plugin again to arrange this across the top. So we're going to drop the grid arrange on there, and this time we're going to say number of columns. So again, we have 10 containers in our scene tree, so we'll enter the number 10 within our number of columns here, and then we just have to spread our column offset out. And you can see when we increase that number, the space starts to build. Now we can come in and reposition our grid here. So that's one way to use the grid arrange. We could also come in here and say if you wanted to do 5 and 5, you could do this. You could divide it up in both, and then you would need a row offset and a column offset if you're using two numbers in here.